What's going on, guys? Johnny the House Buyer here. Today we're going to talk about owner financing. Owner financing is a way that I've used to be able to get the most out of a property where you normally might not be able to. It's an alternative. For me, there's a lot of ways you can do owner financing, okay, but this particular investment technique for me is to buy the crappy houses that most investors don't want, and being able to sell them through the owner financing investing technique, and to be able to make money in several different ways. There's 5 ways to do it. Luckily, I got the opportunity to meet the master of owner financing, Mitch. He's written this book. He's done 1,000 houses owner finance. He's actually, I got him to autograph it. He says it's all about the cash flow. Eventually, you know, we want to be able to let our investments, you know, cash flow, so we can do some of that passive, get some of that passive income, right? Owner financing is a great investment technique to be able to achieve that. Now, I don't know if I'm explaining it right, but luckily he's given me the permission to play his overview of the owner financing investment technique. So without further ado, hopefully I didn't butcher the intro to this, but it's not live or anything, so this is a pre-recorded pre-recorded video. But understand the ways to be able to, what I want you to do is I want you to be able to understand, and this is a great intro here, great course to understanding the fundamentals of the different ways you can get paid on owner financing. When it gets to that point, understand the 5 ways of how you can get paid through owner financing. Now, you can use this technique with higher priced houses, and one of the guys I work with, one of the guys that is in my meetup group, the guy that does the most deals, he has actually done this technique with higher priced houses. But what I'm looking at doing, and I've done myself, is using this owner financing technique with lower priced junky houses that I don't want to fix up myself. I get the buyer, interesting how I get the buyer to fix it up himself. So I might do a little prehabbing here, just clean it up a little bit, but not the serious work, because these houses that I look for, if you've looked at some of my videos, these houses are really bad, the ones that I look for, because most investors, what situation comes up with, and I won't take too much time, what the situation comes up with is that it's not worth putting the money into construction, into the rehab fund, because if you flip it, you won't make that much of a profit. But this owner finance technique will be able to let you do that. And I will go ahead and put this video on and let you guys learn from the master Mitch on owner financing, an overview of the owner financing real estate investment technique as an alternative to landlording, right? So that's another interesting thing. We all talk about landlording as, you know, get a whole bunch of rental houses as a means for passive income, and that's good too. But through owner financing, you can make more money, and you don't have to do the big thing. You don't have to do all the repairs yourself. You don't have to do any of the repairs. The owner of the house that you sell to, he is responsible for the repairs, not you. Okay, so thanks a lot, guys. Please like and comment this, like and share this. This video is worth sharing to everybody who you think would benefit from this investing technique. So please share this out. And y'all comment, tell me what you think about it. It's really good info. I don't turn you guys on to other people's stuff unless I really believe in it myself, and I do the process myself. So here we go.
Well, the first order of business will be to let you know explicitly that I am not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a CPA, and I'm not giving tax advice, and I'm not giving legal advice. These are my own personal opinions, and you'll need to seek your own professional counsel. I am the author of the book, My Life in 1,000 Houses, Failing Forward to Financial Freedom. I'm based out of San Antonio, Texas, and I've been doing business in San Antonio, Texas for about 20 years. I've done almost everything in this one little region. So for those of you that don't think you can buy a lot of houses in just one town, I'm here to give you a different argument. I like to stay where my houses can be touched and felt, and I can walk in them, and I can handle the problems right there in my own backyard. I'm also the author of a second book, which is coming out just like any minute now. It's hot off the press. It's My Life in 1,000 Houses series, 200 Ways to Find Bargain Properties. And I wrote this book just to answer that question that just kept coming up. It seems everywhere I go, people want to know, how do you find such great deals on houses? I think it's important that you learn to find great deals on houses because everything starts there. It all starts with a great deal on a house. And once you find great deals on houses and learn how to manufacture great deals and write great contracts, then the money and the partners and everything just comes. It all starts with finding houses, and that's why I wrote this book. So let's clear up a few things real quick. I did not invent real estate. I did not invent owner financing. I don't think that I'm God's gift to real estate, and I'm simply here to help those who want to traverse a path that I've already been down and don't want to make the same mistakes I made. And that's why I'm here, is to help shortcut this for you. Why should you listen to me? Well, the biggest reason is I have failed miserably many times on my path to financial freedom. And on my way to my successes, I did fail many, many times. As a matter of fact, the subtitle to my first book, Failing Forward to Financial Freedom, is a book about falling down. It is a book about falling down and getting back up and saying, well, that didn't work. What am I going to do now? And then it's a book about adjusting and making adjustments. I have made a ton of mistakes. I make no bones about that. Some people sometimes ask me if I'm embarrassed about how many times I fell down, and I say, well, you know, it's a true story, and I guess the truth is the best answer. So my business almost caused me divorce. I did finally figure it out, and I did find a way to make everybody happy and become a success and hold it all together. I've now been married 24 years. Matter of fact, almost to the day. So let's see if I can't help you from making some of the mistakes I made. Now, you've all probably heard the teacher will appear when the student is ready. Have you heard that before? Well, apparently I was ready when I heard a certain definition of financial freedom. And that definition read, financial freedom happens when your wants and your needs are exceeded by your cash flow. It actually said when your wants or needs are exceeded by your passive income. But I'm going to suggest that we just strike the word passive out of our vocabulary. I don't believe that anything's passive in this world. And if you think you've made it and you're completely passive, then just quit paying attention to your assets and watch what happens. You have to be vigilant all the time. And so I changed it from passive to cash flow. Financial freedom happens when your wants and your needs are exceeded by your cash flow. And what struck me when I heard this sentence, I got hit by about 4 or 5 things all at one time. The first thing that it said was, there was a mathematical point at which I would become financially independent. It was mathematical. It was exactly at the intersection of when my expenses got outrun by my cash flow. And so I knew right then that there would be a defining moment. At the time, my freedom number was around $4,500 a month, $3,500 to $4,500 a month. It was all I needed to live, pay my bills. Not to be rich, understand, but to pay my bills. And so that brought me to another conclusion, that all this time I've been listening to the word financial freedom, the words financial freedom, I had equated that to being rich, to being very wealthy. And if all I needed to be financially free was $3,500 to $4,500 a month, then obviously being financially free wasn't rich, because that's not rich by any means in anybody's book. You know, $3,500 a month to $4,500 a month. So all of a sudden, I was all this thinking I need to make $1 million and all these big plans and everything. It just wasn't true. I needed to concentrate on this $3,500 to $4,500 a month, and I'd be free, meaning I could go wherever I wanted to go and be whoever I wanted to be 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It also said that I controlled the bar. Because, see, my number was $4,500, but I scuttled some of the expenses that I had in the name of financial freedom. I threw away some expenses, got rid of them, so that I could lower the bar, so that I only needed $3,500 to be financially free. Because, and this was my rationale, I wasn't lowering the bar because I was lowering my hopes or my dreams. That wasn't the point. I was lowering the bar so that I could become financially free quicker, because I figured if being wealthy or rich or financially free was in the cards for me, it would happen after I became financially free. That I would get rich after I was financially free. And the reasons were obvious, because I was going to be able to quit giving other people 8 and 10 and 12 hours of my day. And I was going to be able to keep those hours for me. And if I had 24 hours a day to give to me, then I figured if being rich or wealthy was in the cards, then I would find it then. So why choose real estate? First of all, it's tangible. It's not like a stock certificate or some kind of number floating around on a TV screen. It's real. You can usually walk out and touch your assets. I like to keep mine in my backyard, so I can drive to them and touch them and walk in them and smell them, take pictures of them. I don't think real estate's going out of style anytime soon. So it's always going to be here. I think there'll always be a need for it. I think that's a given. Now, one of the most important things we have to deal with as entrepreneurs, or as just an individual trying to be successful, is we have to learn to mitigate our taxes. Today we pay the average American pays about 32% in taxes and 34% in interest, leaving only 34% of our income left to become successful. So we have to learn how to live on pre-tax dollars. We have to learn how to mitigate these taxes, and we have to learn the difference between good interest and bad interest. It's not really that difficult in that department, figuring out what's good interest and bad interest. Good interest, you make more than it costs you, and bad interest, you don't make more than that interest costs you. So let's start taking a little page out of Kiyosaki's book and start making note of what a real asset is. You know, on your bank statement, they'll list your car and your boat and your house as an asset. Well, my car and my boat and my house never made me any money at the end of the month. I don't, while I'm required to put those in the asset column on the application at the bank, in my mind, those are not assets. Those are losers. Assets make more than they cost, period. So make a note of that. Take a look around you and see what you have that you've been calling an asset. If it's not making more than it's costing you, stop calling it an asset. I also chose real estate because I wanted to rub shoulders with some successful people, and there was a lot of successful real estate investors out in my community that were pretty accessible. And one of the things that we know is that our incomes will average what our 7 closest friends, 7 people that we hang around most, whatever their income is, that's what your income is going to end up averaging. So I knew I could mix and mingle in this pool of people, and that was really exciting to me. I didn't need college to do this real estate business, and that was great because I don't have a college degree. I have a high school education. I went to a couple of semesters of college and figured out it wasn't for me, and I left college to find my own way. The other thing I really appreciate about this real estate investing business is that the education is out there for you and me, and it's available. A lot of it is free. A ton of it is free with the internet now and the different things that we can learn, just like what you're doing right now today. You're going to learn a lot today. I'm going to give you a lot of meat and a lot of content, and it's not going to cost you anything. And the other big reason I liked real estate is because I could make money while I was learning, and that's a really big plus. I mean, I'm just not one of those guys who's going to go to college for 5 or 6 or 8 years and not make any money, racking up a big bill. That didn't appeal to me at all. I wanted to make some money while I was learning, and that's absolutely doable in the creative real estate environment. So I'm going to be talking to you about the pros and cons of being a landlord versus being the bank. And I want you to know I'm not bashing rentals to the nth degree. I mean, I just want to present a real viable argument that maybe a lot of what they've been teaching us about rentals, maybe it isn't true. I don't think it's true. I think there's a lot of myths out there. I think people have been selling the dream of what, you know, the paper version, what's on paper, but what's on paper and what really happens in real life are two different things in the rental department. So I know that there's people out there that become multi-millionaires using rentals, and I'm not going to argue that one bit. I just think there's an easier way. I think there's a better way, and I think there might be some reasons why some of those people have been financially successful as a landlord while others aren't. We're going to talk about that. So here's the rental model that we've been sold. You go borrow from institutions. You buy $100,000 houses for like $75,000, which is not a big discount really. You get 10 to 15 houses and you rent them until the tenants pay them off for you. So you spend 10 to 15 to 20 years managing these rental properties until they're free and clear, and then you take and enjoy the rental increases and the appreciation of those properties, and you can A, live off the cash flow, or B, you can live off the cash flow and or sell one house per year for cash. You can keep adding up $200 per house until you hit your number, you know, whatever the spreads are. And the problem is it just takes a long time to get to 10 free and clear houses. I mean, when you start trying to deal in cash, or it's a slow road generally, and if you're waiting for the tenants over the years to pay these houses off, I mean, you're just talking about a long plan. Quite frankly, I'm not that patient, and I had to find a different way. Because once upon a time, I was buying into this theory that renting houses and being a landlord was the way to go. In 1996, I had 25 rentals, and they were killing me. Actually, I had 25 rentals. I was supposed to make $300 a house between what I owed every month and what I collected. $300 per house times 25, that's $7,500 I was supposed to be collecting per month. Now remember in my previous conversation, I only needed like $3,500 to have my expenses paid for, to cover my living expenses, and so that I would be free at $3,500 a month. I knew that things would not go 100% as the plan all the time, so I decided I wouldn't quit my job till I had about over double that $3,500. So I went and got 25 rent houses at $300 a month. That's $7,500 a month. I was covered, man. I should have been made in the shade. But that money that I was supposed to be putting in my pocket as a landlord was not hitting the bottom line. It got so bad that after the first year when I quit my job, that I was forced to go get some help. I was forced to go get a mentor and pay them the last bit of money I had so that I could get out of this rental business that was killing me. And it turned out to be one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It changed my life. I thank God, by the grace of God, that I stumbled in and made the decision to get a mentor and to give them the last bit of money I had. I was giving them the money so I could get out of the rent house business without losing my credit and my reputation. And I didn't know how to do it because everyone I had rented these houses to in this neighborhood none of them could qualify for a traditional loan to buy me out. And I was getting stuck between a rock and a hard place here, where I couldn't collect the rents and I couldn't sell them, and I didn't know what to do. Anyways, this mentor showed me what I was doing wrong, and it evolved into what I do today, called the owner finance business. So this was the problem. The problem with the rental model is all the liabilities were on my side of the table if I was a landlord. I had all the maintenance problems. I had the taxes. I had the insurance. I had to even get liability insurance so that in case some tenant got hurt or something, they wouldn't sue me, because we're becoming so litigious these days. I had people that were moving out. They would move in and they'd sign a 12-month contract, and if they even stayed 12 months, they moved out. Well, that's not enough time to recoup. I mean, if your tenant moves out every 12 months, it'll take all the $300 a month that I was supposed to make. It takes most of that money just to put the house back into shape so I can rent it out to the next person. So that wasn't working. There's a very low entry fee. So these people come and go at will, and they don't pay any mind. The entry fee is so low that if they just mess you around for a couple of months on the rent, they effectively have their money back. Their mindsets are completely different. The landlord has to deal with a mindset that really doesn't care. Lack of pride, certainly no pride of ownership because they don't own it. And the only two things in the plus column when you're a landlord is appreciation, and that's the property values going up, and depreciation, where you can write off the valuation of your property on your taxes. So if you switch over here and you look at the green over here to the far right, right around here, you'll see that all these problems go away if you're the owner financier. If the air conditioner breaks, like in the maintenance department, window breaks or air conditioner breaks or the heater doesn't work, that's not your problem. If the taxes go up, it's not your problem. Insurance goes up, it's not your problem. You don't even need liability insurance. Move outs become a non-issue because it's not your house, and people that own houses tend to stay. People that own houses stay in the house and fix the house up instead of leave the house and tear the house down. And of course the mindset, let's see here, the entry fee. On the entry fee, instead of collecting, a deposit equal to the first month's rent and the first month's rent, which let's say, if the rent's $1,000, you're getting a $1,000 deposit and you're getting $1,000 worth of rent, that's $2,000. Well, you can't even replace the carpet in the house for $2,000. Literally, if it's a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot house, you're not replacing the carpet for that, and the carpet's the first thing to go. But as the owner financier, you can collect the down payment. So this down payment can be what? $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 down, $20,000 down. I've gotten $50,000 down before. It doesn't happen every day, but what's the chances of you getting a $20,000 down deposit, non-refundable, on your rent house? If you have to think too long about that, let me help you. It's zero. No one's going to give you $20,000 non-refundable rent deposit. Never, ever in the history of the world is it going to happen in a little rinky-dink house down in your town, USA. So, right off the bat, this down payment changes almost everything. As a matter of fact, how we get quality people is we demand higher entry level. We demand a higher cash upfront down payment. And this separates the users and the abusers from the real deal people who want to own a home and be successful. Needless to say, when people put down this kind of down payments and make these kind of financial commitments, their mindset is completely different. The mindset of an owner versus the mindset of a tenant. The mindset of pride of ownership versus this isn't my house, I don't care. Who cares if I leave the dog in here all day long and it goes to the bathroom all over the place. You know, who cares? Well, that changes when the person puts $5, $10, $15, $20,000 down. Now, we don't get the appreciation of the property because we sell it. We're just the payment collector. And we don't get to write off the depreciation. But I want to revisit this word right here, appreciation, a little bit further down the road. We're going to revisit that. Those are the two downsides of being an owner financier, is you don't get appreciation and you don't get to use depreciation on your tax write-offs. So what is owner financing? Let's just break it down real simple. It's when you buy properties at a wholesale price and you mark them up. You buy these properties with partners or retirement money or savings or OPM, other people's money. That's my favorite, and I'm going to talk a lot about that. You guys get to know me. I'm talking a lot about that all the time. It is the key to success, other people's money. It's fast, it's affordable, it's long. Private money lenders allow you to wrap their mortgages so that we can carry notes for long times. We have a payment being made to us, and then we have to make a payment to our private money lenders, and they, in their agreement with us, will allow us to wrap that note, making it a legal wraparound mortgage, everything on the up and up, and then we're going to sell for retail on payments. So we're going to buy for wholesale with someone else's money, and then we're going to sell for retail on payments. And we're going to collect a down payment, and we're going to collect monthly payments, and then we'll have the choice to sell the note or not sell the note if we want to. So how do you know how to make an offer? If your strategy is owner financing houses, how do you know to make an offer? You have to know your exit price before you can make an offer on anything. I mean, if you're buying a car and you want to make money buying and selling cars, you're going to need to know what you can sell the car for before you walk in there to buy it. Otherwise, you won't have a very good chance. You'll just be shooting in the dark. So your number one asset in this business of real estate in general, and especially owner finance strategy, your number one asset is your ability to establish value. If you're not an expert at establishing value and you walk into this creative real estate investing game, you're going to get crushed. It's the number one mistake. People assessing the wrong value or guessing at the wrong value. And there's no need to guess at this. It is so simple to find the owner finance value. It's even simpler than finding the regular values, like the CMAs and stuff. Finding the owner finance value is very simple. I'm going to show you how to do it. But the first step is, how do you calculate the owner finance value of a house? So here's my formulas. The very first formula is you want to find out what the rents are in the neighborhood for that kind of house. So if you're looking at a 3-2 house in a certain neighborhood, you want to find out what the rents in that neighborhood are for a house just like that. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the area. So you take the rents and you subtract the property taxes, and you subtract the property insurance, the monthly insurance and the monthly taxes, and you get the owner finance principal and interest amount. This is how much the buyer would have left over for principal and interest. Okay, the next formula is you take the owner finance principal and interest amount, and I'm going to give you some real numbers here, so this will make more sense to you here in the next slide or two. You take the owner finance principal interest times 1,000, that equals the owner finance loan balance. This is what the renter can afford to borrow from you if he's going to keep the same payment as he was of rent. And then there's the owner finance loan balance plus 10% equals the owner finance value. So let me show you this in real numbers so it'll make more sense to you. Let's say you have a house that's rents for $1,075. In this particular house, you went and you got on the tax rolls, and you see that the monthly taxes are exactly $100 a month. And then through experience, you know that this size house runs about $75 a month in insurance. So if you take the $1,075 and you subtract the taxes, monthly taxes and the monthly insurance, you end up with $900 left over for principal and interest. What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep this renter who's paying $1,075 a month, we're trying to make him an owner for $1,075 a month, plus or minus a couple of bucks. Because, so we need to establish how much he can pay for principal and interest, and by the time he adds his taxes and insurance, he's going to be back where he was. So in this formula, he has $900 left over for principal and interest. $900 a month at 10% for 20 years equates to a $90,000 loan balance. So if this renter has $900 left over that he can pay for principal and interest, then if you use the terms 10.5% in 240 months or 20 years, then 900 equates to 90,000. You see, I picked these terms for a reason. I don't need a calculator. If I know someone has $700 a month left over, I know they can afford to finance $70,000. If they would have had $600 a month, they could have financed $60,000. This particular guy has $900 a month for P&I, so I know that he can finance $90,000. Now, if you were to go to your calculator, your mortgage calculator, and you're actually to run these out and solve for the balance over here, you put in $900 for the payment, you put in 10.5% interest for the interest rate, and you put in 240 months for the term, and you solve for the balance would actually be $90,146.05 to be exact. But you see how close I am just using not having to have a pencil and paper or a calculator. So if they can afford to finance $90,000, what does that make the owner financed value? The owner financed value, as a general rule, just add 10% on top. So they can afford to finance $90,000. You add 10% on top, which is $9,000. So the owner financed value, or the owner financed sales price, is $99,000. Simple enough, right? You can do this sitting in front of a house on your laptop or on your smartphone and look up Zillow or Trulia or Rent-O-Meter. And these, if you're in towns that have a lot of data, they're amazingly accurate, plus or minus $10. If you're not sure, it doesn't seem right, don't just use one of them. Don't just use Rent-O-Meter. Use Rent-O-Meter and Trulia and Zillow and average them. Take a look at all of them, all three of them, and see what they say. But finding out what something rents for is super quick. It's super easy. You can probably do it in less than 4 minutes sitting in your car right in front of a house you've seen for the first time in your life. You can figure it out in like 4 minutes. Now, I want to make something very, very, very clear. And we want to pick our words carefully as we go through this owner financing world and talk to people. This is the owner finance value. It is not the MAI appraised value. It is not a current market analysis value, or CMA. It is not a BPO, or broker's professional opinion. It is the owner finance value. And that's different than anything else. Owner finance value could be 10 or 15 or 20% above other values. Because here's what you have to believe in the owner finance strategy that I'm going to be talking to you about, that I believe in so much and so wholeheartedly. The number one thing you have to believe is that renters would rather own if it cost them the same per month. So in the example back there, the renter was paying $1,075 a month. To believe in this owner finance strategy that I teach and preach, you have to believe that the man paying $1,075 in rent would rather pay $1,075 to own. What say you? Do you believe that? I do. I believe it. I've got 20 years worth of evidence that says it's absolutely true. It just makes common sense. Some things you don't have to do a lot of research on. The bell just kind of rings true. A man would rather pay $1,075 to own than he would to rent, period. Now, it's not 100% across the board. Let's say it's probably about 83, 85% of the renters would rather own. There's always that 10 or 15% out there we just can't help for whatever reason. And they probably rightfully don't need to be owners, for whatever reason. So the other thing you have to believe, let's say you take that renter and you make him an owner, and then for whatever reason he disappears or he dies or he just vanishes in thin air, you got to believe that there's a line of renters waiting to take his place. I believe that's true. And I only believe it's true. I've lived it for 20 years. I know it to be true. And so, you know, I don't think you have to do a lot of research on this, but if you're not sure, go do some research. I think you'll find that there is renters upon renters upon renters, stacks of them a mile high, that wish they could own a home. They just don't know how, and they haven't met you yet. So I've used this concept over and over and over with private money lenders and note buyers, even my spouse, to convince her when I first started out that this was a viable business. And they couldn't really argue with me. And then over time, I proved it to be true with real numbers and real customers. So this is my favorite strategy. It is the best strategy on the planet, in my personal opinion. If you have a better strategy than this, I would like to hear it. I'll give you my phone number. Just call me. I'll take your call. Please call me and tell me if you have a better strategy than this, because this is the best strategy I've ever found. It's the buy it, don't fix it, owner finance it strategy. Buy it, don't do a darn thing to it, double it, and owner finance it to someone, and collect your payments while they're fixing up your house. That's the greatest strategy on the planet Earth, in my opinion. It is, hands down, nothing comes close. You buy it with someone else's money. You don't do anything to it. You don't mow the yard. You don't fix the broken window. You double it. You owner finance it to someone, and you watch them repair your collateral using their money. And then if you want to sell that note, you can, but you don't have to sell the note. This strategy says buy, no fix, owner finance, sell the note. Well, you don't have to sell the note. If you do this right, you'll never sell a note. You won't have to, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So what happens is effectively the occupant is inside your collateral, fixing it up and increasing the value. And wouldn't it be really nice? And this is what I like about it the most. I like this the most. Is every time I go to do a remodel or I do a rehab, inevitably I go over budget. I mean, it's like the nature of the beast. All rehabs go over. I wish there was like an audience. I could get you guys to raise your hands. If you raise your hands, if you've ever gone over budget on a rehab, if you're not raising your hand, you've either not done very many or you're not telling the truth. We always go over. So this is what's so cool about the buy it, don't fix it, and watch the occupant fix it model, is I get to watch them go over budget on my collateral. Everybody in the world thinks they can fix a house for $5,000 bucks. Everybody. I don't care. I mean, I heard it so many times it makes me laugh. I can fix this house. How much is it going to take to fix this house? I think it's going to take $10,000 or $12,000. Oh no, I could fix this house for $5,000. Yeah, I got you. Normally what these occupants do is, and let me tell you how they come up with this number, is they only counting materials. They don't count their labor. When my owner occupant says he could fix this house for, I'll be honest with him and say, look, it's going to take $10,000 or $12,000 to fix this house. The occupant will argue with me and say, no, I can fix this house for $5,000. Of course, I don't argue with him. But here's one of the reasons why he says he can fix it for $5,000. He's not counting his time. He thinks he's going to have his friends and neighbors come over, and he's going to work, and no one's charging him for labor. Well, labor is not free. If he wants to not put it on his calculations, that's fine. So because I'm taking these houses and I'm buying these dilapidated houses and I'm not putting my money into them, I can buy more houses with less money. And so, houses that I could find with private lenders, to buy for $25,000. If I went ahead and fixed them up and put another $15,000, that means I got $40,000 in this house now. Well, I don't have $40,000 in the house. I just left it at $25,000, and I owner financed the house for $50,000. So I'm going to show you some real life examples here in a second. So don't get lost here. But the ROIs, or the return on investment on these kind of houses, on the inexpensive houses, are really high. And so you'll want to stay in the medium of the medium houses. because that's where the money's made in the owner finance strategy. So here's a case study. We got San Felipe. That's what it looks like before. What you don't know about this house is, and I wish I'd have taken better pictures, but I didn't, is when you open that front door and you walk in that house, there's no sheetrock, there's no insulation, there's no cabinets, there's no air conditioner, there's no air conditioner ducts, there's no doors, there's no bathroom, there's no vanities, there's no carpet, there's no floor covering, there's no tub, there's nothing. You can stand in any corner of this house and see all the other three corners, okay? You got it? It's just kind of studded up. So here's what happened. I bought this house I got it under contract for $15,000, and I paid myself $2,000 to buy this house. So I borrowed $17,000 right here at 8% interest only, and my payment is $114 a month, okay? I like to borrow 8% interest only for 5 years. I didn't have that in, but I like to do 5 years. Let's see. And so then I sold this house as is. And in all honesty, I think I mowed the yard. I think I did because it just made sense, for $100 or something. Not even $100. But I sold it for $38,000 with $3,000 down. And the balance was so low on this, $35,000, that I went ahead and owner financed it at 12% for 12 years. And my incoming principal and interest payment is $420. So if you subtract the $114 that I owe from the $420, I'm collecting $306 a month positive cash flow, of which I am not a landlord. I have no liability. So when that $306 a month comes in, that's my money. I don't have to put it in the bank and wonder if it's my money, because see, if I'd have been a landlord and I collected $306 positive cash flow, I'd have to wonder if that's my money. Because if the air conditioner broke the next day, then apparently it wasn't my money, it was the air conditioner man's money, and I'd have to give it to the air conditioner man. But because I'm the owner financier, because I'm the bank, when I get that payment and that check clears, that $420, and I write my check to my private money guy for $114, that $306 that's left over, that's my money. And so this went on for about 6 months, and I collected 6 months worth of this $306 while this guy was in the house fixing it up. I mean, it needed everything. If this guy spent a dime on this house, he spent $10,000 or $15,000 just the materials. I mean, really. So I collected 6 payments worth of $306, which is $1,836. And this is what it looked like when he finished. I wish I could have showed you the inside, but the inside had sheetrock and texture and carpet and cabinets. It had everything that it didn't have before. And so it dawns on me right off the bat that this house is worth a lot of money now, probably $69,000. And this guy only owes me like $35 minus some payments. And so I'm thinking, wow, I can probably liquidate this note pretty easy if I want to, because the value of the house is so much higher than what this guy owes me. And I knew that I charged a good interest rate. So let's see what happens here. The buyer fixed up the house, and this was like the easiest note sale on the planet. So the note buyer paid me the full balance of what was owed after 6 months. And what was owed was roughly around $30,570. Remember, I made a really short note. It was a 12-year note. So as he made payments, he paid down pretty good. And I was carrying that note at 12%, which is a very nice rate of return for a note buyer to start out at a face value of 12%. It's very nice. So with none of my own money, here's what happened. I collected $2,000 when I bought the house, because I bought it for $15,000 and I borrowed $17,000. And then I collected $3,000 down payment, and I didn't really do any work for the house, so all that money was mine. And then I collected 6 months worth of payments of $306, which turned out to be $1,836. So the total amount. Oh, and then I sold the note for $30,570. So the total income on this deal was $37,306. Now I had to pay back my private lender. So I had to pay back the 17 right here. And that left me with $20,306 of net profit to me in 6 months. Now, do you remember when we were talking about, as a landlord, you don't get appreciation? Well, I bought this house for 17 and I sold it for in less than 30 days for 38. Exactly how much appreciation do you landlords want out there? I mean, that was you know, 1,000,000,000% in like 30 days. I mean, if you actually ran this out to annualized it, I mean, the number is almost incalculable. I wish I would have calculated. It's huge. It's a huge increase. It's a gigantic rate of appreciation. So I don't know if you landlords out there just think that you need to wait around for 8 years or 10 years or 20 years for your house to appreciate. But in the owner finance strategy that I deal with, I want my appreciation right now. And I want it, and you know how I'm going to get it? I'm going to get it by using these simple words. Yes, I will owner finance you. That's what changes the price. I say those words. Yes, I will owner finance you, Mr. Buyer. That's what changes my price from 17 to 38. Not because I mowed that yard for $50. No, that's not what changed the price. You guys got to get this. What changed the value of my property was the fact that I was willing to owner finance it to someone who was never, ever in their lifetime going to get an institutional loan to buy a house. That's what changes the value. It's amazing. We are doing so many good things out there in these neighborhoods. I mean, we're changing neighborhoods, we're changing lives, we're changing tax collections, we're changing property values, we're changing how product flows. We're creating jobs. We're doing tons of things. I once wrote a page called The 7-Way Win. I helped with one of my students named Jerry, and it's really amazing all the good that comes from this kind of business. So did you notice there? I got paid 4 times. Let's look again at it. I got paid when I bought. I got paid when I got the down payment. I got paid over 6 months, every month when I collected the payments. And then I sold the note and I got paid again. Okay? It's 4 times right there. But there are 6 ways to get paid in this business. And the last ones are not chump change. They're huge. So 6 ways you get paid is you get paid when you buy. You get paid when you collect the down payment. You get paid on a spread every month between what you owe and what you collect. Then this 4th way is you get paid when you sell the note. But I've modified my strategy, and I don't sell the entire note most of the time these days. I sell most of the note, and I keep a small portion of the back end of the note. So you get paid when you sell most of the note, and this became a necessity to do it this way to get people to buy my notes. And then you're going to get paid to manage and collect the notes for your co-note holder. And then you're going to collect on the back end of the note when the property pays off. So there's 6 ways to get paid in this module. And believe me, did you see right here in this house where I paid $17,000 for a house and I collected $37,000 plus and got to net $20,000 net on a house that I paid $17,000 for? What other strategy can you do this in? I mean, a $17,000 house not only pays back its debt, but puts $20,306 in your pocket in a 6-month period. And if we go the other 2 ways, if we add on the other 2 ways to collect money, you'll make an additional $15,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 over the life of the loan of this house. So it is possible to make an extra $10,000 on top of this number if we would have held just a little bit of the back end of the note. So where does this model work best? The owner finance strategy works best in houses that you can retail for $100,000 or less, meaning that you go out there and you find houses that the rent constitutes a $100,000 owner financed value. The rents constitute that, which would be, you know, like $1,075 worth of rent in the example that we used before equates to about a $100,000 house. Now, I'm not saying you can't owner finance houses that retail for 110 or 115 or 120 or 130,000. You can, and I've done it. I'm just saying, you're made in the shade if you're dealing with houses that retail for 100,000 or less. Okay? I've sold a lot of houses, owner finance them for 150, 180. I've sold owner finance houses for $400,000. But it's not where the sweet spot is, if you get me. So you want to find houses that you can buy for $50,000 or less and retail for around $100,000 or so. And so where do you find these houses? People ask me all the time. I like this when people ask me, so where do you buy houses? You know, they're all thinking bad part of town or wherever. I like to tell people, I buy houses in the half price part of town. And that's the God's truth right there. Wherever they're half price, I'm probably in. So I want you to think about this. This is a pretty big statement. But I think this owner finance model is recession proof. I don't only think it is. I've lived through 2 recessions, and my facts and my data and my experience says it absolutely is recession proof. As a matter of fact, in 2008, when the recession started, the perfect storm came about. The biggest problem in 2008 was that the banks were not lending money. So what happens to the prices of houses when banks are not lending money so people can buy them? The prices of the house drop, correct? No one can get a loan to buy a house. There's less buyers out there because there's very few cash buyers. And so the houses are not getting sold, so the prices drop. So if people can't afford to buy houses because the banks aren't loaning money, what happens to rents? Rents go up, right? If people can't buy houses, then they got to rent houses. And if the rent demand goes up because no one can buy because the banks aren't loaning, because there's a recession, no one's buying houses, then they're renting houses. When the rental demand gets that strong, the rents go up. So the rents were going up and the prices were falling. And so the private money cures the lending problem. If I teach you how to find private money, if you learn how to find private money, the next time there's a recession, you're going to get very wealthy, my friend, because the prices are going to plummet, but you're not going to be borrowing money from institutions who have clammed up. You're going to be borrowing money from private people who need to make a decent rate of return on their money. 8% is a very good rate of return in my book for someone. You know, right now the CD rates are around 1%, plus or minus. And a whole bunch of people that used to be in the stock market aren't in the stock market anymore. They used to be worth twice what they are now, if not 3 times what they are now, because they lost it all in the stock market, and they're never going back. And so they've had their money sitting in these 1% CDs and banks, and they're finally figuring out that inflation is 3% per year. You know, a loaf of bread costs 3% more at least. Beef, my gosh, you don't even have to have a calculator to know that food has gone up over 3% in the last 12 months. You don't even need a calculator. And so these people with this money sitting around are starting to figure out that while they're sitting there at 1% or less, they're losing money. Their money is actually becoming worth less and less and less, and they can't sit there at 1%. They are looking for you. They need you. They need you and me. They need us to borrow their money and put it in a safe place and give them a first lien on a house. So if they don't get paid, they get a house. That's quite different than the stock market, right? What if everybody in the stock market who didn't get paid got a house? Well, they wouldn't be broke, would they? So if you're selling based on the rents and the rents are going up and the prices are falling down, what's happening to your owner finance price? If the rents are going up and your owner finance price is based on the rents, your owner finance price is going up. So here was the perfect storm. In the middle of a recession, the prices were falling to back to like prices that were 15 years ago. I was down in parts of town where I was had been looking at houses for $35,000 and $45,000. They were now like $15,000 because the prices had dropped out. 70% of the sales in those lesser neighborhoods were cash. 70% of the sales were cash. They were people like me who had their own money or had private lenders buying, because no one could get a loan in those neighborhoods. Shoot, they couldn't get a loan before the recession in those neighborhoods. Those medium of the medium houses, those people in those neighborhoods could not get loans before the recession happened. And then the recession happened, the banks tightened up, and they raised the credit score up to 680. So if it was tough to get a loan in those neighborhoods before, it was all but impossible to get a loan now. So the rents are going up in the neighborhood, and I'm offering to finance these houses to people, and the payment's going to be the same as the rent. However, the rents are going up, so my owner finance price is going up. It is the perfect business. We listen to this carefully. I do really good with this owner finance strategy in the good times. I mean, I do good. I do very good. I explode in the bad times. When the recession hits, I can buy everything. Prices are falling. No one can get loans. Vacant houses are sitting everywhere. I'm buying houses like a madman. And so I boom in the bad times. I do good in the good times, but I boom in the bad times. If you do good in the good times and you boom in the bad times, tell me exactly where is it you go under? Huh? Where do you go under in this business model? If you do good in the good times and you boom in the bad times, exactly when is it you go bankrupt? Never. The only way you'll go bankrupt is if you over leverage your money, or you're deceitful, or you have a lack of integrity. Because if you'll be honest, keep your integrity, and not over leverage, there's no way to fail at this business, in my personal opinion. I don't see how you fail. I've been doing it for 20 years. I've never lost money using those things. I have lost some money on a couple of deals. That was my mistakes. Some things that I can teach you that you won't have to do. There are things I did not know to look for. And, when you do as much volume as I've done, you run across just about everything. So a lot of it has to do with property lines, septic tanks, and setbacks. So I can help you avoid those few times that I lost money. I can help you avoid those circumstances. Here's the good news. I was making so much money. And a matter of fact, the year that I lost on 2 houses, I think I lost to a grand total of $30,000 between 2 houses. But I had bought 150 houses that year, and I had sold 97. And so at the end of the year, I just made $30,000 less. But it was a big number, and it was a very good year for me. And if you think that I worried about the money that I lost on those 2 houses, you're crazy, because it was a magnificent year for me. When you get up and you do some big volume and you start pushing your limits, sometimes you'll push yourself out of your comfort zone, and some things will happen to you. The good news is you'll probably be making enough money that it doesn't really matter. You just take your loss like a man, write your check, and go on. Here's a retail hold house on Macaulay. We're going to run through these numbers real quick. I bought this house for $38,000. I paid the bird dog who brought it to me $1,000. I paid myself $2,000. I always pay myself $2,000. And if anybody ever asks you, well, how is it that you get paid to buy this house? Maybe your private lender, and this has never happened to me because my private lenders never ask me anything. They just say, how much do you need? You're going to give me a first lien on a house, right? I say, yes. They don't know. They don't care if they loan me $41,000 or $43,000 or $45,000. They don't care. This is where your integrity comes into play. You gotta police yourself. Don't over leverage. But if anyone was to ask me, well, how is it you only need $39,000 to buy the house and you're borrowing $41,000? I say, hey, finding houses isn't free. This $2,000 makes buying houses a whole lot more fun for me. In February, I bought 28 houses. Okay? I borrowed $2,000 extra per house, hardly over leveraging, right? So if I bought 28 houses and I borrowed $2,000 a house extra on every house, how much money did I have in the bank? Yeah, I had $56,000. That's what I call my free house fund. That's my free house fund. I just put that money over there on the side. When it mounts up to enough, I just go stroke a check for a house cash. I can show you how to buy free houses, like 1 every 10 house, maybe even faster than that. It's a really neat little plan I stumbled upon, and I've been using ever since. So in this example, I borrowed $41,000, 8% interest only for 5 years. My payment's $273. I sold it for $65,000 with $6,000 down, and this guy wanted a short note. I didn't make this up. He wanted a short note. $59,000 at 11% for 15 years. He owed me $670. My cash flow is $437. So let's take it. You know, and then I sold this note within about 6 months. Again, so I collected $2,000 when I bought the house. I collected $6,000 in the down payment. That's $8,000. You see, if you do this right, you don't really need to sell a note. I know that some of you young investors out there will want to make some big strides and put some banks, some big cash, get your naysayer spouse off your back, or get some people that don't believe in you, you know, push them back a little bit and shut their mouth by putting some money in the bank. So you can do this by selling notes, but you don't have to do this. If I did this twice a month, I would have $16,000 to live off of, and I would have created roughly close to $900 a month in positive income. Increased my positive cash flow by almost $900 a month. But what I'm trying to point out here is if you do this twice a month, I mean, that's $16,000 a month that you have to live on. Why do you need to sell this note? Why do you need to sell this $437 a month? You don't. I mean, I think a lot of people in the United States of America could live off of $8,000 a month, right? Much less $16,000 a month if you did this twice. So I borrowed $2,000 when I bought it, got $6,000 down. I collected $2,622 in positive cash flow over 6 months, and then I sold the note. This guy put in like $30,000 into this house. I swear to you, when you walk in this house, you could have set a bowling ball in the middle of the floor, and it would have rolled so fast and so hard in one direction that it would have put a hole in the sheetrock. You follow the picture there? So this guy really did a great job fixing this house up. He was putting his money into my collateral. He made the house worth about $110,000. So when it came time to sell this $59,000 note balance to a private lender, you know, and then I had to pay off my private lender, I was left with a total of $28,622 worth of profit in 6 months on a house that I bought for $41,000. So this is a terrific business. I can teach you how to do this free and clear house. There's even a faster way to get free and clear houses. It's amazing. I'd love to show it to you. I have bought lots of free and clear houses using this plan. It works like a charm. You'll just grin from ear to ear when I show you how this works. You'll learn to mitigate your taxes and your liabilities. We'll talk a lot about how to live on pre-tax dollars and how to cut your tax bill, how to do self-directed retirement funds and 1031 exchanges if you start to get into higher tax brackets, which you're going to do. If you get involved with me and you get involved with this program, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket. That's the whole plan, right? We teach you how to raise private money. It's the key to investing success. I'm going to change your mindset. I'm going to change the way you look at it. I'm going to change what you think. Here's the thing. Most people think that they can't find private money because they're too tall, or they're too fat, or they're too skinny, or their hair's not blonde, or they don't speak English all that well, or they had a bankruptcy, or they don't have any experience, or they're only 25 years old. They're too young. I mean, who's going to loan me money? I'm 25 years old. I don't have any experience. You know, everyone thinks it's about them. Here's the big secret. It's not about you. Private money lenders want to know one of two things. How much you're going to pay me for my money every month in interest. And if you don't pay me, what do I get? And they're going to get a house. So the bottom line is they're either going to get paid their money or they're going to get a house. And if the house isn't worth it, then don't do the deal. But as you can imagine, in some of my examples, I bought a house for 17, so I borrowed 17, and I proved over and over again the houses could be sold for over double. So if they didn't get paid, they got a house that was potentially worth double what they loaned me. I think that's a very protected plan. I think it's a great plan. And I've raised millions and millions of dollars. To this day, I raise so much money talking to people about this exact owner finance strategy that I had to go start a hard money fund to loan it out to my competitors because I have so much money that I can't spend it all on houses myself. I just don't want, I don't want to work that hard. So, and I don't have to. So I can teach you how to raise private money, and this is the key. If you make a commitment to get with me this year and solve this issue, you're a multi-millionaire waiting to happen. Like I said, just imagine if you had all the money you ever needed at a fair rate, like 8% interest only, you could take down any deal that you ever found, and you didn't have to share it with a partner, and you didn't have to pay those hard money rates, and you didn't have to lose the deal because you couldn't do a simultaneous closing. I mean, you could always take the deal down with reasonable, affordable, cheap money. Do you have any doubts you're a millionaire in the waiting? You're a multi-millionaire in the waiting. We just need to solve this problem of private money, and you can do it, and I can help you. I'm also going to tell you how I sell notes without discounts. Now, this is really high-level stuff. It's not complicated, but it's high level, and when I show you what it does for you, it's going to blow your mind. It's going to add that extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to one of those ways you get paid. It changes everything. Simply put, what we do is we just hold a little bit of the back end of the note, and the more that note that we hold, the easier it is to sell that note before it's seasoned. And we don't have to wait for notes to be seasoned to sell them. So I'm going to tell you what I know about this. It's a really, really big and definite strategy. Changes everything. What we do really is we trade a few dollars today for a whole lot of dollars tomorrow. It's a time value of money. And I spent some time on this. It's fascinating how much difference it can make on your bottom line. Absolutely fascinating. I sell my course, The Art of Owner Finance Pro, all the time, regularly for $1,497. If you go on the internet right now, you'll see it everywhere. I've sold it for 5 years for $1,497, and it's worth every penny. It has been, it still is worth every penny. I mean, my gosh. If you don't think having me on your team for 20 hours talking to you about this strategy of owner financing, everything I know for 20 hours, plus my contracts, plus a whole bunch of stuff, $1,497, it's a no-brainer. A person can launch a career, a multi-million-dollar career from the things that I've taught there. I've spent personally hundreds of thousands of dollars getting to where I'm at, learning, making mistakes, falling down. The truth of the matter is, and I think you'll have to agree with me on this one, is we're going to pay for our education one way or another. Like me, I almost lost the career because I didn't hire a mentor till I was desperate. And I was actually just trying to hire a mentor to save myself from losing my good name and my credit. And it turned out being one of the best things I ever did. I mean, back in that period of time, 1996, I paid the last $10,000 I had to my name for a mentor who had hundreds of houses that he had owner financed and rented. Hundreds. I think at the time he had 300 houses. And I said, that's the guy I need to talk to. I asked him if he'd talk with me, and he didn't really, he was too busy being retired. I told him I'd pay him. And we came to terms, $10,000. And he saved a career that I was about to walk away from that's made me millions and millions of dollars. It's made me free. I've traveled around the world with my family. I have cash flow. I get up in the morning if I want, when I want, and do what I want to do. And it was all because I accidentally figured out that I needed a mentor. Because what happens if you don't get a mentor, and look, I'm not saying you get me or you get someone else, but don't go it alone. You have to get somebody that's where you want to be. If you want to be in owner financing, I think I'm probably your most likely choice because I just don't know anyone in the United States of America who's lived it to the degree that I have. Because I buy houses all the time. My goal is to buy 100 houses this year. And so I'm living it. every day. I lived it. I've lived it for 20 years. And I've really not done anything else. I mean, along the way, I've figured out to wholesale some deals, of course, and I've taken things subject to, and I've done tax liens, and I've done all kinds of stuff. But the only thing that stayed consistent in my life was I continually and forever and always owner finance houses, because it's the best strategy on the planet. In my opinion, there's no better strategy. What happens if you don't get a mentor is it ends up walking over dollars that you just don't even see. Even to this day, I learn about things from people and think, wow, if I'd have been doing that for the last 1,000 deals, I'd have made another $4 million. And then I implemented it into my regimen. But, you know, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And so I stepped over those dollars all those years. Every time there's a problem that I don't figure to calculate, something I don't figure to look for. You know, on a few deals that I've lost money, it was because I just didn't know to look in a certain place for a certain problem. I should have known, but I just didn't have the experience. If I'd have had a mentor, they would have told me, hey, you need to go over there and look over here because there's this little red flag over in the front corner of the lot that says you better go to the back corner of the lot and check something out. You know, I just didn't know. And there's going to be times when you should just walk away from deals. And sometimes, as young investors or aggressive investors, we're so eager to make a deal that we get ourselves into some bad deals just because we want to make a deal so bad. And a good mentor won't let that happen to you. He's going to say, no, you need to set your price on this one, and either they take the price or you walk away. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. And that kind of confidence that a mentor can give you, that's what it's about. Because hesitating on a deal can cost you a fortune. I mean, a house that you should run out to buy right now today, but just because you've never done it before and you just aren't sure, and then you go talk to your mentor, and your mentor says, man, what are you doing? Get in your car and drive down there as fast as you can and sign that contract. Well, if you'd have waited around another day, you'd have lost the deal to another investor. You know, that could be $20,000 mistake right there. I mean, easy in this business. So, and then there's always the questions that you don't know to ask. There's always the clauses that you don't know to put in the contract or to strike from a contract. You know, there's just things that you don't know. So I want you to really think about the statement I'm about to make. You're going to pay for your education one way or the other. And this way of not getting a mentor is really stressful. And you may not make it. And you may end up causing yourself to walk away from a career because you didn't get the right help. And that's what I don't want you to do. I want to strongly suggest that you, if you're interested in the art of owner financing strategy that I've been talking about, that you get with me and put me on your team. Let's start right here with the Art of Owner Finance Pro. I've held this before in a one-day workshop, but what this really is, this is a 20 hours course. It's an online course. It has all the apps and the websites that I use. It has important resources, all the different resources from residential loan mortgage originators that I use across the country, the ones I use in Texas, all my contacts, attorneys, lawyers, different people I use for different things in different parts of the country. I can help you wherever you're at. I'm going to teach you how to establish value without a doubt. You're going to learn how to establish value. Like I told you before, it's the #1 asset. The other thing that people are really afraid of is how do they find houses? I just finished my book, 200 plus ways to find houses. I can solve this problem for you. I can teach you how to make offers or how to make multiple offers on one property. I've been making offers for a long time. I know exactly what works in this arena. I'll tell you my formulas for success. I'll show you all my formulas. I'll slow down so you can get them all. It's all on the recording. You can learn at your own pace. And here's the big one. How do I find private money, and how did I find over $8 million worth of private money to run my businesses? That $8 million I've borrowed in and out over and over and over and over again. It has made me a multimillionaire. It has changed the whole path of my life, that private money. And I can show you how it'll work for you. I'll teach you how to find buyers. I'm finding buyers right now on a program called livecom.com that I invented to solve a problem because no one out there was addressing it. Finding buyers becomes a non-issue. I'll show you how to find buyers so fast it'll make your head swim. If you don't believe me, just go to livecom.com, livecomm.com, and watch the video on the front page. You know, I got no problems helping you figure that one out. How to manage your accounts, how to set up systems, how to get things automated so that you're not killing yourself every day in this business, how to structure notes, how to sell notes without discounts. That's a big one, like I went through before. Building your self-directed retirement plans. Hey, if you don't have a retirement plan, it's going to be one of the first conversations we're going to talk about, and we're going to get one because you just cannot afford not to have one. I'll teach you who to talk to about that. I'll set you up a meeting. We'll have that all done. How to comply with the regulations. We got Dodd-Frank. We got the SAFE Act. We got all kinds of stuff. It's a non-issue, partners. Let me tell you, I used to be afraid of this. I almost quit the business because of this regulation. And then I started getting face up with these regulatory issues, and I got face up with them, nose to nose. And guess what? They're nothing. They're not bad. There's a way to overcome them. It's actually easier than the previous plan. We hire some RMLOs, residential mortgage loan originators, to stand between us and the regulations and keep us compliant. It's easy, guys. Don't let that stop you from this business. I'll show you plenty of case studies, how I made money, all the different pockets the money came from and went to, and how it works. I'll teach you techniques for accountability. So if you have some fears, if, like, for example, you're afraid that you just can't find private money, hey, tell me that you want me to hold you accountable. I'll be there with you. This online course talks about all the ways to hold yourself accountable and how to get what you want. I'll teach you how to talk to buyers and sellers, and how to increase your down payments without looking like you're going back on your word or trading out or being unintegral. There's ways that you can agree on a down payment and then renegotiate the down payment on the next day and just look like a hero. And so I want you guys to strongly consider this 20-hour course. It'll give you a great chance to know me, know the strategy, know that there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but all the pieces fit perfectly together, and there's a perfect rhyme and reason why each one of them fits so snug together. Me the chance to meet you, and you the chance to meet me, and show you that the strategies that I have really, really, really will work. And then maybe in the future, we'll talk about me being on your team on a different level. But this is the first step. A person could launch a career. You could launch a career. I've given that much information. There's nothing watered down about it. It's everything that I know to tell you about my business. Why I do the things I do, when I do them, how I do them, and how I came to the conclusion that they needed to be done the way that I do them. Because probably when I first started doing some things, they didn't work so well. And I had to readapt and adjust. So regularly, $1,497. You will not find this on the internet. You cannot call my offices and get it. I'm doing this very specific niches for a very specific reason, and I told you the reason. I want to get to know some people, and I want some people to get to know me. I want some people to get to know me, so that maybe I can work with them on a little more sophisticated and higher plan out in the future. But make no mistake about it. This is enough to launch a career, this information right here. It's everything I got, everything I know. I really, really want to thank you for watching the presentation. And I think right now I need to get back and answer some questions. So I'm going to move over to the question side.
All right, guys, so that was the awesome presentation on owner financing as a real estate investing technique for an alternative to landlording. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of that. I have signed up for the program, and I'm going through the program myself. I encourage you guys to do the same thing. This course is like a fraction of what I've paid for a lot of other courses, and I highly encourage you guys to go through it with me. We can do some discussions about the course and stuff. If you've taken it, maybe we can do some kind of community or something like that. Go through my Facebook, or I will blog about them. So that's probably a good idea. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. I know it's a little bit long, but definitely packed with info that we need to succeed in our business. Be a light, speak truth, change lives, and I wish you much success in your business and in life. Peace.